our invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father which art in heaven, dear Lord God, it's once again that we humbly approach your throne of grace with praise and thanksgiving in our hearts, thanking you, Lord God, for all of your many blessings you bestowed upon the city of Dillon. We ask that you continue to bless our mayor, our city council, our city manager, our city attorney, and all the department heads on tonight as we continue to make decisions for the betterment of all the citizens of Dillon. And in everything that we do, we pray we be careful to give your name the glory, your name the honor, and your name the praise. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Welcome everybody here this evening for our regular scheduled meeting. I have a motion to add Resolution 317 to the agenda. I make that motion. All in favor? Anybody opposed? That'll be down in new business.
Yes. Yes, sir.
A motion to approve the minutes from the April 10th regular scheduled meeting. Got a motion, have a second? Second. All in favor? Opposed? I know we got a executive session tonight, so I'm going to move real fast with the things I got. Maggie's not here, so the facade grant applications though, Janet, are we waiting for those till the next fiscal year?
Yeah, Maggie and I talked last week, and we've got less than 8 weeks left in our budget year, and by the time someone can get a vendor here and get to work and get everything, all the paperwork done, then paying, and then getting back their council check and getting it to us, we just don't think there's enough time.
That doesn't include them from picking up the application?
No, that can go ahead and begin. In fact, something I think, Betsy, you know if Maggie talked with you or Johnny last week or this week? She's going to put something in the paper to go ahead.
Well, what about the $12,000 that's in there? Can it carry over to the next budget year?
It won't carry over per se.
Can we have $24,000 in there instead of the 12?
I think we did 30,000 is what I budgeted for. But that includes other stuff too, if I'm not mistaken. What else?
Well, I'll get
to that and then we'll see.
Are you talking about the 15 and 15 that he's speaking about?
I don't know.
The fees and grant that he's talking about?
Let's go through and see exactly, because I'm going to talk about that in my report as far as what I got budgeted. Yeah.
I asked Maggie, I'll get with her. Is she sick? Is she out?
She was here today. I met with her this morning. I haven't heard from her this afternoon. I know her brother's back in the hospital in ICU.
I'll get with her on those preservation tax incentives about the city, county, and the school board. I wanted her to send a letter on.
She hadn't heard anything from those two as of last week.
She's got to follow up. She's going to follow up, and I'll have to follow up with it. I know the county is open to it. They've done it before, so I don't think that's an issue. I mentioned it to Jackie. I don't know if there's something that would prevent the school board not doing it, so we'll follow up on it. I go off of Harrison Street on the 301 every day, numerous times, and I brought this before. Y'all out there on the police department, if y'all would, I know you do it, just keep an extra eye open for people running the red lights and the stop signs. It is, I see it, they'll do it, they don't see a police car there. Just maybe we could randomly put one there, maybe without being obvious there's a police car or wherever you see it. That's a killer. I mean, it's happening over and over. I'm noticing it that much. It's got to be going on more and more. And I assume it's from the text problem. I don't go even by that intersection, even on green, and not stop and look now. That's how that one's got on Harrison. That's 301. I mean, I'm sure it's other spots too. Saturday night, man, I was almost calling you to see if you heard like a drag strip on 301. I heard it was on. I weren't the racetrack. Boy, it's fine. festival. Not this weekend, prior weekend, we had the festival. It was warm, to say the least. I mean, it hit about 90, 91 degrees. But I tell you, it didn't stop people from coming out. The city, along with the chamber playing their part, I tell you, it's come a quiet little festival around the PD area. Y'all know I rode the train back from Florence to Dillon, and it was 2 cars full. And a lot of them weren't from Dillon, a lot of them came here. I make it a point to speak to the vendors, because I think the best way to judge the festival, not just more just looking at the people, but is asking the vendors how they're doing. And I went to a lemonade stand, I went to one selling hot dog, and I went to one selling hats and stuff. All 3 didn't know who I was, and all 3 asked, "How are you doing today?" All 3 said they're doing good. Which all the slots are full at the festival every year, so they must do good. So people are out there all day, and they're spending money out there all day. They're having a good time all day. The car show was great. We had a guy coming out of town. We had one as far as Tennessee who was in that car show. A guy working on the gas line here. So he went to the festival at the car show, and he thought he was going to see 10, 12 cars. He was surprised when he saw the number of cars. But Jimmy Bryant, their church, does a great job with that car show. And they probably have to work on that thing 5 to 6 months prior to the festival. The bands were probably better than the best lineup I've ever seen. All day. I think the band started somewhere around 10 to 12. Then you had another one in that afternoon. Then you had one at night. Just all around good. I was worried about the heat. It didn't. You had a nice breeze. And, y'all haven't been to the festival? You need to go check it out.
So I got there at the time for the hula hoop
Well, you have stuff like that.
Those
The kids
kids
brings out the grandparents and the parents and all that, and that's why it just goes on all day. And, I really got what I enjoyed. I used to go out there and welcome people, and pick my car and head home. Now I kind of get out there and mingle around for an hour, 2 hours, and really have a good time talking to people. But you need to go. This is really on the map. I'll leave it at that. Main Street, I'll let Glenn get into that a little bit. Just talking about Main Street has generated some activity. We'll get into that. You've probably seen a little bit of work done on some of the buildings already. I want to thank Wendell Boatwright for stepping up and letting Dillon have another place to go have a Sunday lunch or lunch any day of the week. Wendell's a friend of mine and my neighbor. Let me tell you, it's not easy opening nor running a restaurant, and Wendell has done it the right way. So, I've had a lot of people say, we really don't have too many places to go eat Sunday lunch before. Well, you do now. You do now. And it's made a difference up there too. Just glad he made the investment in that. That's what I want to see more of. Maybe not on that scale, but on another scale with some of the other vacated buildings and so forth. But it's made a difference uptown. It's getting better up there when I talk to people. It's not the yellow brick road into the Emerald City, but we're getting somewhere. And, that's all that matters. Somebody said, how are you going to define success? I'd like to see one vacant building get occupied. I'd like to see all the facade grants get done in year 1. That would be a huge step. We get there like we are overnight, we aren't going to get out of it overnight. That's how I define success. So not going to be success. A couple things on the spreadsheets I'm not going to get into right now. And, last thing on the Wellness Center. Some of them at the desk, again, I brought up about them wearing a shirt or something designating that people know they work there. If they would be a part-time, be full-time, and maybe they just don't much when I'm there, but they'll just get off behind the desk and walk around the fitness area. If they see somebody struggling with a machine, ask them, can I help you learn how to use that machine? I hope the people working there have enough enough ambition to understand how to use every machine in the wellness center. If they don't, it should be a requirement. And for the sake of time, I'm going to move on to that. You go, what you have.
So the first thing I have is Janet and I have been working on the budget here for the last week for the coming year. One of the biggest issues that we have talked about and still don't know an answer yet is what the General Assembly is doing with state retirement. The House passed a version that's in the budget to either reimburse municipalities, counties, and school districts 1%, or they're going to cover the 1% in their budget, where it would only cost the city, in our case, 1% additional money. The Senate's version is a little bit different. They're not doing it that way. They're going to give money towards the local government fund, which is a fund that we get money from each year, all cities and counties. But that's based on population. And that has not been funded 100% since, I think, 2007. Right now, they're funding it at like 75% by what law is saying that they have to fund it. But by just putting money into local government fund to help to offset with that 2% increase, it's my position, and most of the other cities in the state of South Carolina, we don't like that proposal. We'd rather have the 1% given back to us or put into their budget to help cover that cost so everybody's treated equally. So I think they're meeting this week to hash that out. I think this is the last week of Thursday is the last week of this year's Senate and House General Assembly meets. So I foresee it going on further than this week.
Is there a number out there, how many full-time equivalents per population section, like 5 full-time equivalents per 1,000? Is there a kind of number out there like that?
Not to my knowledge, not
Just gives us an
statewide.
idea, are we by population light or heavy in our employment?
And it varies, I mean, it really varies from different communities. Depending on, and I'll use City of Bentonville as an example. From the general fund standpoint, they probably got more police officers. From a enterprise size, which includes water and sewer, they also have gas and electric. So they probably have more employees. And they also are probably 2,000 to 3,000 larger. City of Marion at one time basically is, well, they're probably less than population, but they had more full-time employees than we did at one time. I don't know if it's still that way. But I don't know if there's actually to do that. But that's one of the biggest things that we're looking at. Based on last week's pay that was given and estimated of what we may have to pay if it's 2% in the retirement system addition, is an additional $50,000 to the general fund that it would cost us, and an additional $20,000 in the water and sewer fund. So if the House version passes and the Senate agrees to it, and I don't think it's going to pass just as they have it, there's going to have to be a compromise, but if it does pass the way the House version reads, we could save $25,000 on the general fund side and $10,000 on the water and sewer side. What that savings would be if it's the Senate version, we don't know yet, because it's all going to depend on how much money they're going to give towards the local government fund. So hopefully we'll know something here in the next week. I don't see it. I see it maybe 1st of June before they actually go with that. The budget also, as I mentioned last week or last month, is going to include a 5% sanitation rate increase, which is roughly $60,000 additional dollars. If we're stuck with paying 2% on the general fund side, we're still $10,000 short from the sanitation versus the retirement fund. Well, no, 10,000 over, I'm sorry. So that could cover a little bit, but not much. Now, on the water and sewer side, like I said, it would cost us right now $20,000. we're looking at a 4% increase for water and sewer rates, which at this time, that's an additional $136,000. So that would help a little bit, or a lot, on the water and sewer. But we also have health insurance that we've got to look at. Right now, when we're meeting this week to get that final number for health insurance, right now we're projecting a 10% increase. And if that's the case, that's an additional $47,000 to cover our health costs. We won't know that until the end of this week what that actual number is either. I had budgeted $25,000 to begin repaying ourselves back from equipment that we bought last year in the general fund. Instead of borrowing the money, as you remember last year, we said we would just pay ourselves back.
How much did we spend?
$250,000. That was on a garbage truck and a car and code enforcement. $250,000.
Are those things gonna last 10 years?
The garbage truck's been lasting about 10, and Benny should last this one for about 10.
The car should be
Yeah.
less.
Yeah. I mean, if we went out and just bought a car and you 5 years would be the most, but that was a $25,000. We're basically paying for the car this year based on what we're budgeting to repay ourselves back. Because the car costs us $25,000. Budgeting $30,000 as of right now in downtown assistance. That can include a facade, or what else did you want to include in that?
I brought it up last meeting.
Yeah, you did, but you didn't really give a detail, because I went back and looked. You said two $15,000 grants. What all would you like to include in that two of those?
The contingent on the downtown revitalization committee, as far as bringing it to council. But all that is, I like to call it an upfit grant to a building, which includes things from the front door back into the building. The plumbing, the wiring, and all that. Incentivize somebody to spend the money first. They come up to council, apply for the grant after completion of the job. And we reimburse them up to $15,000 if they've spent X amount of money.
1-to-1 or?
Well, I think, and I didn't bring it with me, Benny might remember, you may. We said you had to spend at least, was it 50% on that?
That's on the preservation tax credit. That's all different.
No, this was facade. This is not the facade. I didn't bring that one with me. So you want to do two $15,000?
If we can find the money on it for council, to help kickstart and see how that goes on Main Street. Now, I'm afraid if you don't have any incentives, which other cities are doing, you aren't going to get the minimal of anything on trying to address your downtown.
So in order to get to 15,000, they would have to spend 30?
Yeah. Spend 30 to
I don't know
get
how
50.
many's going to do that.
Right.
But if they do, I think it's,
But it doesn't have to spend 30 in order to get the 15. They can spend 10 and get 5.
That's correct. That's the 50%.
Now, I want to go back to the facade grant. All right, we had $12,000 budgeted for this year.
That's correct.
Nobody's going to have enough time to take the advantage of it.
That's correct.
So can't we carry that $12,000 over plus put an additional another $12,000?
We can if the money's there.
Can we look into doing
Yeah.
that?
I'm making that note now. Additional $24,000 for facade. What we had talked about during the year. All right, so just on that, so that's 30. That's a new 30,000 plus an additional 12. That's 42,000 additional dollars we're looking at in the budget for the general fund. Items that I have not addressed yet, but we've got to address in the general fund is
That 12 of that 42 would be off this budget.
no, 30 for the upfit, plus an additional 12. Instead of 12, we're going 24.
You said you had to find 42,000.
Mhm.
You should be able, the other 12,000 was off the this budget year, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I'm putting in, but your money just don't roll over at the end of the year.
But Dr. Wall said we should have to find it if it was already in the budget.
Yeah, if you didn't spend it, it's gotta be somewhere.
It's not real money is what you say.
But it should be real.
Well,
It
it
should,
is,
but I'm just-
but at the end of the year, you zero out and start back over.
Were the facade grant funds depleted? Nobody took advantage?
Nobody's taking advantage
Well,
of
what I'm saying is that if you didn't spend it this year, it's somewhere. You know, it's not like we have to find another that additional $12,000. That $12,000 should be in the bank. Am I wrong?
A budget is only guidelines to go by. If you've got it to spend at the time you do it, yes, I see what you're
Okay.
saying.
So what you're saying is we didn't really fund it?
it. No, we funded it. We just say, let's just use a round number. We budgeted in the general fund $100,000. Just everything in general fund, $100,000.
All right,
Of that $100,000, $12,000 is for facade.
right.
We didn't spend it. However,
Spend it somewhere else?
but however, we spent $150,000, $50,000. That's just using that as an example.
It's not there.
Very well could be at the end of the year, not there, depending on how we do it at the end of the year. That is correct. But other areas that need to be addressed is the fire department on 8th Avenue. We've got to replace that roof. That's a cost of about $50,000 to replace the roof on that building.
How much square feet is that building?
Keith, you remember?
Well,
It's a rubberized flat roof.
No.
Yeah.
Is that just the area you
That's
sit in?
the whole building. It leaks everywhere.
that's everything except the base where the vehicles are. That's all the living quarters and meeting areas.
That's over the vehicles also?
No, sir.
Yeah.
That's not including vehicles.
That didn't include, because he gave us
No,
two.
that was, you
One
got
for
two, you got two
36.
quarters. You got one for the meeting area and one for the living
Okay.
area.
One's 36,000, the other's
One was like 12,
14,000.
14, yes. That doesn't include anything over the base.
Well, just, my building, which goes from MacArthur all the way back to the alley, I put a TPO roof on 2 months ago, roll, top, 13.9. For comparison purposes, I can't remember what the square, but that's a pretty big building, 9 runs pretty deep.
We've got one at 50, that's the high, 50,000. I think the other is like 40,000.
I got probably
One switches.
well, it's 2 buildings. My office is here to that wall, then I got a
How
middle.
did y'all actually
attached
get
same
out to-
size.
Just got two.
That fire department's that much bigger.
And there's some units up there too. There's like 3 good-sized units on top of that building too. They got the.
Yeah, they work around.
Stuff, but I mean, that's,
Who did yours?
I'll give you his name, and mine's got he put 15-year guarantee. So, he's out of lumber. Did Dillon Electric.
Give us that one, if you don't mind. Because the two we got, one's local and the other is from the beach. It's been working on it for years, and
I didn't have to, I
They
didn't
don't.
say, I tried to, I was shocked at the cost when, you know.
we'd like to
You
see
need to go
that.
and get another bid, I'll be glad to send him the bid.
We'd love for it to. That would give us 3 on that. Then we have $70,000 request, which I'd love to have it. I don't know if we can be able to afford it. That the police department, Chief Lane has requested, putting the new laptops in police cars, where we can do some things in the police car, such as writing reports, printing out traffic citations, printing out wreck reports, printing out incident reports, and getting information from NCIC. Now, that's been going to 16 patrol cars.
I thought the JAG grant was gonna help you get all that established if you were awarded that grant, David. What, if you and Miss Maggie were working on the JAG grant, were you?
sir,
Weren't y'all working on a grant together?
we were.
Y'all were. So you're not going forward trying, well, they told you we wasn't gonna get the grant? Well,
The grant was not submitted.
Not submitted.
I was in the hospital, and that was to be for 3 police cars that were damaged in the storm, not for radios, not
Yeah,
for
but the JAG
computers.
grant does cover that though. If I'm not mistaken, you can get laptops and stuff like that. Am I correct in saying that, David?
You can apply for just just about any equipment you can apply for through JAG.
Thank you.
So that's one of the other ones that we're looking at. The main issue is really the fire department fixing that roof. That is not only a place that stores equipment, but in essence, we have people who live there 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Yeah, it's bad. When I went on the Christmas dinner that night, me and my wife were looking up, and how the world this thing not drive people out of here. So every tile had stains. Oh, God.
They all be replaced 4 or 5 times, every time you replace them, everything's the same thing again.
From a water and sewer standpoint, debt service for this coming year is going to be roughly $48,000. And that is the SRF loan on the sewer line that was relocated over the river bridge. When does the water tank?
It starts in February, doing that.
And that's part of this 48,000.
That's why it's less.
And we also are looking to budget a
But we
depreciation.
found, we had 120,000, that we're paying on 12 million. We're not paying that, so,
Well, I'm fixing to make you smile, I hope.
okay, good.
We're
I'm
looking
getting
to,
a little depressed.
we're,
This is worse than medicine.
we're looking to fund our depreciation of about $300,000 this coming year. Using the monies that we used to pay towards the bigger SRF loan, using that to go back into the depreciation account, because we need to start building that back up. Trying to see if I missed anything in my highlights there. That's all at this point with what we're working on in the budget. Now, you did not hear me say at this time anything about salary increases, and a lot to do with that is depending on what happens with retirement system. Because what we're estimating now, what it would cost us is based on everybody's salary as of last week. So we're just waiting to see what happens with that. On retirement. And then, once again, health insurance, we're estimating high. We think it is going to come down lower than what we're estimating here at $47,000.
What's Wayne tell?
He's coming this week, along with Blue Cross Blue Shield.
No, he'll have a quote from Blue
Okay.
Cross Blue Shield when it comes to it. But the other one was like 9.6%.
I thought that's what we had now.
It's a city of
Yeah,
Blue
like the
Cross,
Blues.
TCC. And telling you all that and about what we got to have and what it's going to cost us, Bert came to me Friday. He's not here tonight. He had to be out of town. But one of our tractors that we have is 20 years old, and it took a beating during the storm. We worked on it and worked on it and worked on it. You just cannot keep it operating. So he got us a quote today to get a tractor similar to what we have that actually cuts our vacant lots. It helps along our right-of-way mowing, and it cuts the big acreage we have out at the sports complex, the areas that we do not utilize as far as activities. The tractor that we use to do that is, we just cannot keep it running. A new one is $26,649. I bring that up because we're in need of it. I mean, this is the time of year that we're cutting it, and we're in need of that.
What about the money that we were covered under the insurance when Matthew came? We got reimbursed some money back, didn't we?
Yeah.
How much did we get reimbursed back?
We got all that yet?
We got just one more part left on some contents, but the building was the biggest thing. But that zeroed itself out, from what we got back from the insurance company on that. And then the equipment, a lot of equipment was police. That I had to go back to the state drug fund. It couldn't be put anywhere else because it was, military stuff that they were using.
But now, we have not received any money yet from FEMA.
Yeah, we're waiting on FEMA.
That will be the biggest dollars, will be from them.
Any idea what we're doing?
About 83,000 I'm waiting on.
Can you clarify something? So if we bought a police car from the state drug fund or federal drug fund, and we have a claim, takes the car, when we bought it from that fund, the insurance money goes back to the fund.
That's correct.
Yes.
Yes. You can't put it
Or
in.
if we got it and for some reason or other we're getting rid of it and we sell it like on gov deals when we do our auctions, whatever that piece of equipment sells for, it goes back into wherever we bought it from or got it from.
But the understanding I want to get is, we had some vehicles that got messed up at the service department that were covered under our insurance, that we were going to get reimbursed back. Like our not a garbage truck, it was something else. The knuckle boom, we had, which one? There was a couple of vehicles down there.
We didn't
And we
get
lost total,
it.
and we had to ask the insurance company to reimburse us
We
back.
didn't get a whole lot out of it.
Golf carts.
Yeah. Didn't get a whole lot.
Just because of the age
Mhm.
and what their value would be. And now, the knuckle boom loader, we ended up keeping some of that. Just because of the difference of what they would give us, of keeping it versus what they'd give us, and they'd taken it. It wasn't much different, so we just kept a piece of equipment. If we can use it here and there, we use it. But we didn't, there wasn't a lot of money involved in that. Where we got most of our money is from the contents of the building and redoing the building inside and the office where the water was in there. Because most of the equipment, other than the new trash truck and those things like that, most of the older equipment is what really took a beating. To where we didn't get a lot back, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
What about that evac truck?
The vac truck, yeah, we still got it, it's operational. It's still running, not the best, but we go run it 2 days, have to bring it back in the shop, work on it some more.
That's boy, I didn't realize how vital that piece of.
That's a very vital piece of equipment. I mean, that piece of equipment, we purchased, Dr. Wallace, correct me if I'm wrong, I think when we built the Harbor Freight line, we bought that and an excavator,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken.
Traco.
A Trico, that's right, yeah. Yep, sure did. So, we're in need of this. I was hoping we could wait till the budget year, but Janet and I, look, we got the money in our depreciation account on the general fund for equipment.
Is that the only bid you got, was $26,640?
Yeah.
You can't get another bid to see if you get anything better or cheaper? Or we just gonna go with what Bert wants us to go with?
Well, usually we get John Deere, but we can't get service. I mean, there's,
Capital purchase that size, I swear we ought to get more than one bid.
well, we usually do get 2 bids. We do get 2
If it's the
bids.
same company that runs the, say it's a John Deere here, you compete with John Deere or Spartan. I mean,
Okay. We'll do that.
you gotta get a purchase order on the $1,000 buy, you ought to be able to get some 2-3 bids on the $26,000 capital purchase.
We'll do that. So we'll wait and bring it back next month, or we'll just wait and maybe put it in our budget. Spoke to you briefly prior to council meeting on the proposed board of governors. You should have a list of names. Last month we talked about having to replace people. The board of governors should have 9 members. Only 2 are active at this time, which is Randy Goins and Doug Miller. 7 also listed on this page are people that Benny has spoken with, and they all have agreed to serve. Benny, do you mind just going through what the Board of Governors' job is or responsibilities are?
Yes, Grace. Basically, if someone has a disagreement with the permitting process as far as building permit fees, plumbing fees, things of that nature, they could appear before the board and express their concerns. That if there is any need for us to amend our ordinances they felt that they're being mistreated, things of that nature. That board will make a decision whether or not the code enforcement followed through with the city code of ordinances and issuing permits and inspections. Also, the board exists for if we condemn buildings or houses and the owners thereof feel like their structure is not considered an unsafe structure, or if they have a disagreement with some of the things that we tell them they need to do to abate the situation. They feel like it's too expensive or too much, they can appear before this board and express their concerns again. The board listens to the citizens and make their decision whether or not we follow our ordinance or if we're asking them to do something other than what the ordinance actually says. That's the whole main purpose of that board. It very seldom meets. We try to take care of everything in-house inside the code enforcement office when they actually approach us. The board very seldom meets, but we actually need the board just in case someone would like to actually oppose our decision and of course approach the board.
Their advisory on.
Yes, sir.
So it has nothing to do with planning and zoning as far as appeals, just
No.
preliminary.
Yes, sir. For me.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Can we go back to your budget? Are you finished with your budget?
No, I mean, we can if you want to, sure.
Well, I mean, I know everything's proposed
Mhm.
and nothing's set in stone, but I had asked about the police officers.
Working on that.
So you will bring that back to
Yes.
council?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, and the
And I
thing is
understand
trying
things
to,
are tight. I
yeah.
understand that.
well, you know,
Just- we
trying to
can-
figure out, one, what retirement's gonna
Right,
do.
I understand that.
I don't wanna put those numbers in there and retirement goes another direction with it.
Well, no, with that being said, when you plan on getting us this information? Wait till the next council meeting and we only got 2 weeks to decide?
That's left up to y'all for having a special meeting. I don't make those.
Well, Mayor, can we look at doing something like a special meeting so we just not crunched all together trying to get things done at the last minute?
Yeah. That's fine.
I mean, I'm just asking, I didn't, you know.
I'll give Glenn a call.
Let's look at a calendar real quick. Our next scheduled meeting is the 12th. I'm assuming you want to do it on Monday, the 5th of June. That'd be the week prior to our next scheduled meeting.
Okay. What are we gonna do to just review the budget?
Yeah, just go over.
First reading?
Well, first reading's actually tonight by title only. And then we'll go and
Is it gonna be a workshop? or-
yeah, it would be a workshop. Wouldn't be nothing voted on per se, just be a workshop. All right. June 5th, 7 PM, and I'll send something, Lynn will send something out as a reminder. The last thing I have, and something we've been doing now for, what is this, May, 5 months. Chief Lane brings in officers from the police department to introduce, so you can see names, faces with names. I think this might be the last group, am I correct, Chief? Okay.
One more group.
Got one more group. All right, so Chief, if you don't mind.
Today we have brought Sergeant Mike Yoder with patrol, Sergeant Ray McFadder also with patrol, Corporal Ronald Graham with patrol, Sergeant Jeffrey Cook, who is actually, he does quite a few things for us. He handles warrants. He's our evidence custodian, and he is a victim's advocate. And then we have Sergeant Matt Townsend, who is with our drug unit, and he actually handles one of our drug dogs, K9 Diesel.
David, if I can ask you, will you give me your years of service with the police department?
10 years.
19.
6, I believe.
Thank y'all for watching.
That's all I have this time.
Maggie, I was asking on the preservation tax grant that we're trying to make uniform.
Yes,
Follow up with me on, be sure they get a yay or nay on that, so we
Okay.
can put that on board. Then we need an answer on
we
it.
need to talk to Richard and Rodney.
Rodney's fine, I talked with him, he's all for it, but I want him to sign off this.
Well, they're gonna need to amend those percentages for the county.
We got to amend it.
Yes, it was 50%.
Yeah.
Those two figures, we need to, I'll show it to him and get him to
All
amend
right.
it.
Well, I brought it up to both of them.
Okay.
Anything else you want to add?
Lynn and I talked about waiting until the 2017-18 year to start the facade grant, because they just don't have enough time to do anything.
We already addressed
They just don't.
Ms. Maggie, you got your phone lines up and running now?
No. Next week. Next week.
And that's how long, ma'am? 3 months?
Since Janet did the cutover. I don't even know how many months. It was complicated, to say the
We've been
least.
having trouble at the Wellness Center with phone system when we got it. The Wellness Center was down, their numbers were down all day Friday. We were back out there today working on it. So when we changed over to fiber optic out there, it's been a headache.
Your time, now Spectrum.
No, the phone, not
They
phone.
handle, Spectrum handles the phone? or
No,
AT&T?
that's AT&T.
Anything else, Mike?
No.
Citizen report, anything anybody out there like to bring our attention?
I just have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What about those of us that had been preparing and working within this year for our facade grant? Are we going to be able to roll over any of that stuff that we've spent? Like I did some signage and things. I mean, you know, it's a little unfair at the end right here to say, bam, you can't have it.
Have you filled out all your paperwork?
I certainly have.
Yes, that would roll up.
We should be fine.
Yes.
I didn't think we would cut you off.
If you've done paperwork or started the process with the paperwork, we should honor that.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any more that's in that boat, Ms. Maggie, that you might know of?
No, but I have 4 different people who have come to me that want to do this. Sally McIntyre, Tim Ammons, of course Stephanie's on her way, and Brett Thompson are just waiting till we get the parameters worked out, because all their things take a good amount of time, and I don't want to get into what we did before.
Okay.
There will be an article in the paper about it, stating as of this time, this is what we can do.
All right, anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I just have a question about the qualifications or whatever for like the Board of Governors and Architecture Review Board. And looking at the names up there, I know that one of the members up there on the Board of Governors has been a resident in a extended care facility, we'll say, out of the county in Dillon for several years. And the name is still on the board up there.
She was just replaced tonight when they voted.
We addressed that last month, Ms. Maggie.
Everybody that's on there under Board of Governors as of right now,
2 of them.
2 of them, Randy Goins and Doug Miller will stay, and then 7 additional going there.
All right, then moving on down to the Architecture Review Board. Have there been any changes in that board?
Not officially, no.
Okay, we have a member of that board, I know that,
Sarah Steve.
yeah.
Is that my district?
The architect, no,
No.
that's not my district either. That's a, come back with names that fit that certain, I think if in the ordinance, wasn't there a qualifications for different people maybe?
There were, and part of it has to do with continuing education. So if they don't complete their education each year, Benny works with that, and we work with archives and history.
And I know that one of these members has, has been, has had health problems and has not been able to serve. But
2 or more years, and I'm just wondering about the replacement. Okay.
I'd like to get back to the facade grant just a second. I want to ask you a question. Maybe y'all have the answers and I don't. The stipulations with the facade grant, we're trying to beautify uptown. So it's going to be on the front of the buildings. Nothing on the back of the buildings or anything to that nature.
It can
Is
be
that
on
the
any
stipulation?
exposed surface. It could be the back of the building as well.
So,
Like
is that-
Sally in the back of her buildings.
well, I'm just asking the question, are we trying to beautify uptown, putting facades on the front of the buildings? Or are we going to do it on the back of the buildings also?
Anything that would be seen like from 301, which they have really cleaned up back there and fixed and painted. Sally's building would face 301, and you would easily see that.
Anything that's in the historic district.
The local or National Register District, either one.
I mean, I know where you're coming from.
I mean, y'all can change it, that's left to y'all.
I mean, I'm just asking the council as a whole. I wanted to know what the stipulations were. I'm only one voice, one vote. So, I mean, I just wanted to know what it was.
But when you look at the facade grant, you're looking at, what's the maximum they can get out of a facade?
It's 3,000.
$3,000, which, you know, I don't know how far.
But our main focus is uptown.
I don't know how far
That's
3,000.
my focus.
Well, my point being is I don't know how far $3,000 will go.
With that being said, Glenn, I wouldn't want us to waste $3,000 on the back of a building when we could help somebody else on the front and beautify the main street uptown.
Most of them have been on the front, on MacArthur.
And that's what I'm talking about, Todd. I don't want to get away from that. I want to keep it, you know, unless, you know, they decide that's what they want and they want to keep it that way, that's fine.
I think Steve Johnson applied with the back of those buildings on MacArthur in the alleyway with the TVA.
Yeah, that's his entrance, yeah.
Yeah, now that, he had all the owners that pitched in and painted their buildings, so people coming into the TV station is a whole lot more presentable today. Even though you don't see it from Main Street, a lot of people will go through there in that back alley in to be recorded. Anything's an improvement. I hate to, I don't really put, yeah, I don't want to put.
I'm not here to argue the point, I just want to get an understanding from y'all what we were doing.
I talked with Brett Tompkins last night, and he was telling me his building over to the side on First Avenue. I think it's First Avenue.
East side, yes.
So, you know, if you are enhancing your building, overall, years down the road, it's going to enhance your Main Street, keep the property values up. I think it's a good thing in the long run regardless. Yeah, I would rather see them beautified on Main Street, but I think that's coming. Anyway. They're certainly going to be open for them to do it. You got to have the other party wanting to do it too. I mean, they let us spend a little bit too. But we'll see. I mean, I think we're moving in the right direction. Okay. Unfinished business, none. New business, I had to add resolution 017, which.
That's all right. We're going to start with ordinance 1704.
1704, adopting the budget, which we just discussed for fiscal year 2017 and 18.
Make the motion.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Ordinance 1705, which we discussed the water and sewer rates for year 2017, 18. Have a motion, have a second? Second. All in favor? Opposed? And last, ordinance 1706, which we discussed the sanitation rates for year 2017/18. Motion. Have a motion, have a second, all in favor? Opposed? And resolution 217, authorizing the submission of an application by the city of Dillon for a CDBG grant amount of $657,740 for pump station improvements, which were addressed to us last week.
Well, last month.
Last month.
And what we had to come back for when the application was submitted, the lift station that's beside the armory, we had, was it about 2,000 feet party of mains, of sewer lines that we were going to replace, put in new, but it goes through that canal. And CBDG does not fund anything that's in a floodplain. So we had to take the piping out. And the only reason it was put in there is it was an opportunity to do it, is what we're told. So To take that out, we had to resubmit a new application and have a new resolution presented.
Okay. Is that when you normally want to do the upgrade of the pipe?
They just put it in because it was an opportunity to do it, since you were going to be working at it. Not that the pipes need replacing, but they thought since there was money available, we could do it, but since they don't do anything in a floodplain, and as I told them, when we had the hurricane, that's probably one area that didn't flood.
Is that the pump station going from a 4-inch to a 6-inch main?
They were going to increase the size.
Is that not increasing the size?
That, they were going to increase it if we could have gotten the money for it.
Okay. I'm sorry. All right. I say.
Let me ask you a question. Out of the $657,000, the engineering firm, how much money are they getting out of that?
I don't have that from.
Is the engineering firm, are they doing all their bidding and getting like the environmental and the survey?
Yeah.
Are they getting all that done in
Yeah.
case we get awarded this grant?
Yes.
We'll be set to go with the lift stations.
No, all that'll be done once the grant is approved.
But he's making the headway of getting it.
Yes. Yeah, you don't bid it out until you get approval. Because if you do things early, the grant won't pay for certain things.
From the time we get, if we do get awarded the grant,
Mhm.
from the time we get awarded and he does all he's supposed to do, when do you see him starting to do the work on getting the lift stations to where they need to be at?
You have 2 years to get it done.
2 years.
Because it all goes back to finding people, you bid it out, and finding people who, one, going to provide a bid, two, if the bids are too high, then we have to go back and start over again. So you have 2 years to complete the project. You got a motion?
Perfect.
I got a motion. I had a second. Second. All in favor? Opposed? Council member reports.
Wait a second, everybody. You added 0317, which is the multi-jurisdiction agreement between the City of Dillon Police Department. And then on the first page, it gives you agreement and the sheriff's departments that are listed, along with the second page, other police departments in our area. And Chief Lane can explain this more to you if you like.
Deer in the headlight.
He brought it to me at 4 o'clock this afternoon.
In order for, it was normal, standard practice for law enforcement agencies to help each other. You call, and used to, you could just sign a multi-jurisdictional agreement, and sheriff's office still can do that. The sheriff is elected official, he can do that. Police chiefs cannot without the city council giving me the authority to do that. City manager will make the determination if it's okay to sign it, and then I'll sign it. And we have listed, so it wouldn't be so broad, we listed every agency that we want a multi-jurisdictional agreement with, and that will be the only ones that we're allowed to do it under this agreement.
Make the motion. Second. All in favor? Opposed? Carries. Council member reports. Mr. Eller.
Trying to find this stuff. Jandy, this in your department? Your golf carts. You got some new golf carts?
I did,
How many did you get, Jan?
2.
2 that we bought were in the flood. They were, so yeah, that was insurance reimbursement.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I wanted to.
Yeah.
How do we do as far as like when we get new tires on police vehicles and stuff like that? Are we dealing with just one distributor? Are we dealing with different kind of distributors out here? Who are we dealing with the most, Glenn?
For tires,
I mean, what can our service department do besides change oil, maybe an alternator?
they do minor repairs.
So when we outsource, do we got one individual person we dealing with all the time?
We take some to Davis here in town. Where else, Hardy?
Well, tire and line.
Yeah,
For real time?
Blacks. Where do you
So we
take some of
utilize
your
everybody, is
stuff?
what I'm asking.
So where do you take some of your stuff to be repaired?
Morels, and I have carried it to Illinois.
Yeah, we use different people.
This is something I want to bring up, and I want to bring it to council's attention. I've noticed several times, and I've even talked to some of the first responders. This island that's in the middle of the road down here on Main Street. And Dr. Wallace, I hope I get your support. I might not. But time is an essence when somebody is in need of a mercy. I sat there the other day, and an ambulance couldn't even go either way for at least 2 minutes. Now, I wasn't on council when y'all decided to do this, but I would like to see council reconsider on taking that island out of here.
The one east of the intersection is the
Yes, sir.
problem.
Yeah, front council on Aging.
Horrible.
It's a horrible thing.
It is.
Well, the other thing, whoever times the lights, I mean, when it hits green, if you got 3 cars ahead of you, 4, and it hits red again, real fast. It doesn't stay green very long.
Keep going.
I don't know what we got to do. I just wanted to mention it.
Well, if
I've
you
talked
want,
to you about
if
it.
you want to do something, you've got one that's gonna cost us to do it, and we have to get permission from the highway department.
Well, I just wanted to mention to the council.
Why don't we do this first? Why don't we see if whoever can do the time study to see if it can get a little better to give people that, going in that
You had-
west direction more time. And that might work. That might work.
I'll contact them and ask them.
Better than pulling it up right now. I mean,
Well, I mean, everything, we can try to do to take advantage of them not having to sit there so long. But, I mean, I just
Well, I
want to bring it to
don't
the
know
council.
about sitting there, they do their study on that DOT, that's theirs, as far as traffic lights.
that light is about as quick as when I come out of my office of MacArthur, take a right on Harrison, and that street is, typically a major thoroughfare. This is 301, and it's about the same. Real fast, it really is.
It really is. It's a problem.
I'm at the Methodist church coming in and it's green, I'm always like, I'll never make it. Never.
Never.
make it.
My last thing I want to speak about is the wellness center. Todd mentioned a little bit about the equipment, but I noticed in our monthly packet that we got like $16,000 of equipment repairs.
That we did this year.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if all that's repairs or that brand new
Well,
equipment
some of the
too.
line items got equipment repairs. The only question I have is I don't know what kind of warranty or you have under the equipment out there, and I don't know how outdated equipment we.
Well, probably over 70% are original equipment.
I
And we
don't know
do-
if
we
you
do-
get that
we
cost
go-
down some way or.
Well, you take your treadmills. We do 1 or 2 a year where they come in and redo replace the belts, replace the pad, and it's based on number of hours each year that they're used on. They come in and do that. And then we had 2 ellipticals, I think, that was down that we repaired this year. And ellipticals are about $6,000 a piece. So I think we did 2 ellipticals, 2 treadmills, and I'm trying to think what the other was.
Look, he could probably speak more so than this to me. It hasn't been an inconvenience.
What's
Down
that?
equipment hasn't been a problem.
I'm sorry?
Down equipment hasn't been an issue.
No.
You may have a week or 2, but overall, I
During-
don't know anything.
During January, February, treadmills and ellipticals, if they're down, well, you got people complaining constantly.
Yeah, but I wasn't speaking about being down, I was just the cost of getting them repaired and getting them back up.
It's just, in
That
most
really
cases,
is-
it's cheaper to repair, unless it's the motherboard or something like that goes out of them. But just to do once again, the ellipticals are about $6,000 brand new, and a treadmill's right at that. So, yeah,
I was
it's
just curious, I seen it, that's $16,000.
Also, when they come in and do the padding The guy goes, he brings his whole machine in and does the work on.
Yeah, we did, I forgot about
He
that.
does that
We
every year.
redid the covers over the equipment where your seats and things of that nature. We have those refurbished each year too.
Glenn, I agree with Johnny. I really would like to see us get with the highway department and at least see what our options are with that intersection. Part of what I see as the problem is that left turn lane is not long enough, so that you've got cars sitting in the main flow of traffic that are waiting to turn left to get into that left turn lane. And with parking spaces in front of the Council on Aging building, there's just not adequate space to go around on either side, so.
I make note, I'll contact the local DOT rep tomorrow and find out what we need to do. We've probably got to write a letter to Lawrence.
Well, at
and
least
they'll go
let's
there.
explore our
Yeah.
options. The timing of the light would help, but I think even if you time the light, if you got people sitting in that lane that proceeds through the intersection, waiting to try to get into the left turn lane, even if the light's longer, it's not going to help that much. So let's just see.
I will.
We were talking about building a database of property owners and merchants downtown. We got the computer software in place to do that now.
Yes,
So you can do a targeted mailing
yes.
and a targeted.
Well, I can do it by building owner. As soon as Benny gets his new system up where he's collecting a business license, then we'll be able to actually target plumbers, florists, that sort of thing.
Okay,
Which will help
by
the
location,
owners.
By merchant,
Yes.
by location.
Mm.
That's all.
Just on the 2-cent hospitality money, one of the, I bet the 5 biggest months we ever had since we started. So they're 51,000. But tell me something about the economy. I guess people out traveling a little more. That's all.
Only, I went downtown, 5 o'clock on Saturday as a festival. It really was, it was just a good, genuine atmosphere, people having a good time. Just really proud to be a part of it. Just to kind of reiterate what you said. Question, what was the repair bill at the country club? It was $11,000.
One was the pump and the other one was the mower.
What pump?
Irrigation.
All right, so how much of that, I mean, is that the way our lease is written?
We're responsible for all costs. He has no, that agreement has nothing where he as the property owner pays for anything.
Now, we also said though that any upgrades that we did, if we ever decided to buy, they come off the sale price. Now, would something like that come out of that?
I read that last month, the agreement again, or whenever I gave y'all a copy of that again, a month or 2 ago.
I got it.
And there's, the only thing that said anything about sale price, reducing what we spent was on taxes, property taxes. And we don't pay property taxes. There's nothing in that
I thought
agreement.
any capital expenditure that we did out there would come off of that.
There's nothing in that agreement that states that. That I can remember. Do you remember anything like that?
That we went out to build a cart shed on that property. That would just,
It's his and stays there, and if we left tomorrow, he keeps it. If we stay there 20 years, we got good use out of it. And that's one of the reasons we haven't done it. I mean, we shored it up over the years because we was afraid it was gonna fall on us. We would replace a board here or there, but nothing. We haven't done any cosmetic, anything other than the course itself, building or anything else. Because in my eyes, we don't get anything back for it.
no. That's all. Back to the tractor.
I'll sit here and talk about it. What are we gonna do until the end of June as far as taking care of?
Well, we got two other ones that do other things. But the biggest thing this one tractor does that we've got to replace is the deck that it uses is a large deck that the other tractors can't pull. We just have to make do and do another way. If that's what we have to do, which that's what we should do. I wasn't thinking when he brought it to me today that we needed to get another vehicle. Because we should.
And that's all I have.
Benny, there's a house on 9th and Dargan. I don't know if they're doing their taxes. Usually they clean around it. I think an elderly person that passed away, the sons are not in town, Fayetteville or someplace. You have any idea what I'm talking about? The phase?
I can go tomorrow and look at it.
Okay, and it's almost covered over with broken down. I don't know if the city ever cleaned it. You did? Because I know it's almost thrown over. Usually they would come and clean out at least once or twice a year. They haven't done anything. And, Glenn,
Yes, ma'am.
the rental of the wellness center, is it a practice that I called you, what was it, last Saturday?
Last Sunday.
It was Sunday, okay. That, someone had called me and said that they had rented it and they couldn't get in.
Yeah, because we don't open until 2 on Sundays, and they knew that.
Okay, so if a person is renting it, they can't get in?
Unless they pay for us to send somebody up there earlier,
Yeah,
yes.
because they said they needed to set up.
Yeah.
And they called me, they said that the only number that they saw in the system that a home number. So they called me at home.
But no, on that, I went back and checked to see when they rented it from 2 to 5. And people are told, how long you want it, when do you need it, and if you got set up and tear down, this is when you got to have, because we charge you for that time too. Yes, ma'am.
So that would be, whoever rented that would be the contact person? Say for instance, they called me, was there a contact, whoever rented it out to them?
I mean, if they have questions, they call the wellness center
But, okay, someone would be there on Sunday for them to call.
from 2 to 5. It's always open from 2 to 5 on Sundays.
And then I think it would be a good idea that we would put out a notice. I heard the news say that beware of snake bites this year. And I've noticed since the storm, a lot of trees have blown over. And they cut the tree off, but the root is still there and still half out the ground. I was sitting in the CBS lot through the drive-through, and right next to the building there was a tree that had been blown over, and they just cut the top off. And it was a snake bed. Snakes was coming in and out of it. So I'm thinking in people's yards, they need to be careful because they're going to be snake beds if you have children in the yard. That would be a good thing to put out as a notice to be careful with those stumps. I see a lot of them around town in the yards, and just half out the ground. So that's all I have.
That's it? Got 2 calls. All right, if there's nothing more for Dillon Council, I'll make them have a motion to adjourn and go into executive session for a contractual matter.
Personnel and contractual.
Personnel and contractual. All in favor?